Broadcasting to the United States, Canada, and Tokyo, Japan. This is the Rich Stevens Radio Network.
All right, here we go on this Thanksgiving short work week. I'm Rich Stevens. Thanks for being here. Let me tell you where we're at right now. The Navy Secretary has been fired by the Pentagon chief over handling of war crimes case. Michael Bloomberg is officially running for president. There's going to be over 1.5 million more Thanksgiving travelers this year than last year. And Frozen 2, the movie, is number one at the box office, making $127 million here in the United States and over $350 million worldwide. Let me get right into this story. The Navy Secretary, Richard Spencer, was fired by Defense Secretary Mark Esper yesterday. He said he had lost confidence in Spencer after he disagreed with the president on how to handle a war crimes case involving a prestigious Navy SEAL. Now, Spencer had upset the president by threatening to quit over the way the president handled the case of Chief Petty Officer Edward Gallagher. Esper said in a statement late yesterday, I wish Richard well, but he added he was deeply troubled by this conduct shown by a senior DOD official. There you go. It was bound to happen. The American Music Awards last night are in the books, and I got to tell you, I've been to many American Music Awards in person. I've seen many, of course, on television. And excuse me. But this American Music Awards last night was probably one of the best ones I've seen in years. And, of course, going into it, everybody was watching the Artist of the Decade recipient, Taylor Swift, to see if she would perform all her old hits and address that terrible dispute that she had over rights to do so on the live award show. She did perform some of her past hits like Love Story, Shake It Off, Blank Space, and others, but she didn't really address the controversy other than when she took off her shirt with her old album names on it. And the other ones last night, Taylor became the most awarded artist in AMA's history, which actually surpasses Michael Jackson. Billie Eilish won New Artist of the Year, as well as Favorite Alternative Rock Artist. Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello also won Collaboration of the Year for Señorita. And Halsey won the Best Pop Rock Song for Without Me. Going into the night, the most nominated artist was Post Malone, but he won just one out of a possible 7 awards. And Best Rap Hip Hop Album for Hollywood's Bleeding. But overall, this was one of the best. I watched it from start to finish. Excuse me. This was one of the best American Music Awards broadcasts in many, many years. Now, I said it is a short week, and the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, of course, is on Thanksgiving morning. If you ever have a chance to go see it in person, it's so worth it, and it's so much better than watching it on TV. But this year, they might not fly these famous balloons because they're supposed to be dangerous, windy conditions. Every year, millions of people gather in New York to watch the Thanksgiving Day Parade and see these 16 giant balloons, characters. But this year, weather experts are forecasting icy, sustained winds of 22 miles an hour and wind gusts of over 39 right on Thursday morning during the parade. Now, the balloons are not allowed to be flown if the sustained winds exceed 23 miles an hour. And, of course, the gusts, if they're 34 or above, these are new city regulations that were put into place because there was a terrible accident many years ago, not that long ago, it was 1997, when the iconic Cat in the Hat balloon, because of strong winds, injured 4 people. And the balloon's hat crashed into a lamppost in those powerful winds, and falling debris from the collision injured a lot of spectators as well. Now, the city officials are not going to make the call on whether to fly the balloons or not until Thursday morning, as the wind conditions can quickly change. But the balloons are scheduled to be inflated on that afternoon. The day before in the afternoon, even before the parade near the American Museum of Natural History in the city. The last time that the parade's balloons were grounded due to weather concerns was in 1971, and this year's Thanksgiving holiday is going to see rain and snow hitting the Midwest and the Northeast from Tuesday and Wednesday, and strong winds into Thursday all over the East Coast. Now, the gusts are forecast to be 30 to 50 miles an hour from north and northwest on Thanksgiving Day, and of course in the New York metro area. So there'd be a very big problem should that happen as predicted. The higher gusts could be possible between high-rise buildings also. If you've ever walked in a city, say like down Fifth Avenue, and all the big buildings are there, it feels a lot windier because of the effect of being between the high-rise buildings. It's kind of like funneled over bridges. So we'll see what happens. I had a great experience years ago when I worked in a city at WPLJ, and I got to go to the rehearsals of the balloons where they blow them up, and also got to walk in the parade holding Snoopy. There's I think we had like 25 or 30 people that hold each balloon, and I was one of the people that had held the balloon. The best way I can describe it is it reminds me of when I would water ski, and you hold this rope with these kind of like a dowel is the best way I can think of to describe it. You hold it with two hands, and that's what makes the balloon steady as you're walking down the parade route, which ultimately ends at Macy's because it's the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So we'll see what happens. Hey, by the way, the FBI wants to investigate Prince Andrew now because of his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And even though his supposed suicide in federal jail in the city in August, the FBI is continuing to probe the financier's underage sex trafficking ring. Investigators are now looking at how they would interview Andrew in Great Britain, and a source says he would be happy to cooperate with the FBI. You may recall that the prince was recently relieved of his royal duties by the Queen due to his ties with Epstein. So this case isn't over yet. My voice sounds a little bit weird today. I'm not exactly sure why, but it sounds to me like something is being forced. So forgive me for that. Maybe I should take another sip of water and it'll fix it. Hopefully, this will be nice. Okay. Oh, it sounds a little bit better, right? No, it's back to the other way again. Former New York City mayor and billionaire Michael Bloomberg has officially announced yesterday that he's running for the race for the Democratic nomination for president in 2020. He put a statement on his website, said, "I'm running for president to defeat Donald Trump and rebuild America." He's 77 years old. He continued to say, "We cannot afford 4 more years of President Trump's reckless and unethical actions. He represents an existential threat to our country and our values. If he wins another term in office, we may never recover from this damage." Where's all this damage? I mean, the country's doing better now than it has in many, many years. From jobs and new businesses and businesses moving here, the stock market reaching historic highs. I mean, come on. It was back in March that Bloomberg said he would not enter the race between the field because it was too crowded. But his advisor said earlier this month that Bloomberg was increasingly concerned that the current field of candidates is not well positioned to beat Trump. So, we'll see what happens. I know there's going to be a lot of flack between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders because they don't want another billionaire in the race like this Tom Steyer guy. And by the way, because it's so late in the campaign, Michael Bloomberg has decided to skip all the smaller places and wait to Super Tuesday. He threw down $37 million of his own money to buy television and Facebook ads all over the place. $37 million cash. And by the way, he's apparently going to self-fund his entire campaign, which means we won't get to see him on a debate because he's not collecting donations from the public, and you have to get 200,000 donations just to end the polling. to get on the stage for the debate. The next debate will be, of course, next month in December. Thanksgiving Day, by the way, is the busiest day for firefighters across the United States because they say people are 3 times more likely to have a cooking fire on Thanksgiving Day, and that day more than any other day. In all, there are an average of 1,700 cooking-related fires on Thanksgiving Day every single year. Now, there's one fire department in Vermont, and they issued a list of what you should do and what you shouldn't do if you're deep frying your turkey this season. And by the way, I don't know if you've ever had, sorry, I just got distracted. I don't know if you've ever had deep fried turkey. It is incredible if it's done right. And the last time I had fried turkey for Thanksgiving was at my friend BJ's house in Denver. And he did it in the garage away from everything. It was too cold and it was snowing outside. But it was amazing. And you would think that it would be greasy and stuff. It's not greasy at all. It's really good. So here's a couple of the tips. Don't use a frozen turkey, not even if it's partially frozen. If you're not sure if your turkey is frozen, stick your hand inside and feel for any ice crystals. If there's ice crystals in there, it's not ready to go in a deep fryer. Make sure your turkey and your pot are completely dry. Oil and water never mix good, especially in this particular instance. Do not fill your pot with too much oil, because if you put a turkey with too much oil into that pot, the oil is going to boil over and cause a potentially catastrophic fire. Do put your turkey in the pot and fill with water beforehand. And once the water's a 1/4 of an inch thick over the turkey, take the turkey out and measure the water line. That's how much oil you need to use it later in the day when you're going to cook it. Now, don't deep fry your turkey anywhere in or near your home. You're not supposed to do it in a garage, and I just told you this story how my friend did it in a garage, but it wouldn't have been convenient to do it outside where it was so cold and the snow was coming down so heavy, but you're not supposed to do it in a garage. You want to be at your least or at least 50 feet away from your home. Your porch or your deck is often made of combustible materials, and any potential for a fire to extend into the deck or porch area could create a much larger problem for you. Also, you want to use peanut oil because it's going to heat faster without burning, and don't overheat the oil. You're ready to drop the turkey in once the oil reaches 350 degrees. Don't slowly lower the turkey into the pot. Cooking 3 minutes for every pound, which is relatively quick. You got to use a meat thermometer to check the turkey's internal temperature. 150 degrees means you're good to go. Slowly take the turkey out and let the oil drip back into the pot. Now, if you do get a fire, do not use water to put it out. Do use a chemical fire extinguisher, preferably a 10-pound one. And then once you're done, shut the gas off and let the oil and equipment cool. Now, that oil can go right back into the container and can be reused up to 3 times. So don't ever dump the oil down a sink or a drain. So there you go. And by the way, speaking of Thanksgiving, the American Farm Bureau Federation just put out its annual study on how much it should cost you to serve turkey dinner. And I got to tell you, I wish I knew what stores they were shopping in, because according to this survey, it should only cost you $48.91 to serve 10 people at Thanksgiving, which is up 1 cent from last year. So that $48.91 can get you a 16-pound turkey, stuffing, sweet potatoes, rolls with butter, peas, cranberries, veggie tray, pumpkin pie with whipped cream, milk, and coffee. Where are they doing this? Now, if you want to add ham, russet potatoes, green bean casserole to your dinner, that's going to cost you another $13.41 to the original cost. So that takes it to $62.32. And if you could do that, I would love to hear from you. RichStevensShow.com. Click on the contact and get in touch with me. And by the way, Black Friday's coming up this week too. I don't know where this year went to, but I got a tip for your Black Friday shopping. Just because it's the biggest day for deals of the year does not mean that everything's really a deal. New study says 12% of products will actually have higher prices on Black Friday than what you could pay today on Amazon. 82.5% of stuff will be cheaper than normal on Black Friday. 5.5% will cost the same. And the best thing to shop for on Black Friday, jewelry, because the prices are about 70% lower than their normal prices. Books, movies, and music are 44% cheaper, and clothes and accessories are 39% cheaper. Now, the products that get the smallest discount are electronics, which are an average of 25% cheaper, furniture about 26% less, and computers and phones about 27% left. And while we're on the topic of Thanksgiving, the TSA just put out its list of travel tips for Turkey Day, including foods that you can and can't carry on the plane. If you're going to fly with leftovers, the basic rule to remember is any solid foods are okay. But if it's any kind of liquidy, it's got to go in your checked baggage. That's where you want to put that. Now, some foods are allowed to carry on, including pies, cakes, stuffing, rolls, vegetables, and casseroles, because those are all considered solid foods. And yes, turkey is also fine. Even if a full uncarved turkey bird is totally acceptable as well. Frozen turkeys are even okay, but some foods that you can't carry on the plane include gravy, cranberry sauce, wine, eggnog, any sort of jam or jelly. And mashed potatoes are also considered a non-solid food, so they got to go in your checked baggage. Who in their right mind is going to put mashed potatoes in their checked-in luggage? A couple more get to the airport early, at least 2 hours before. Carving knives have to go and check luggage, obviously, even the electric kind. And if you're not sure about something, just download the My TSA app. There's a feature called Can I Bring that lets you check if something's allowed or not. So there you go. My throat and my voice are starting to kill me. Just giving you a heads up, because I can tell I don't sound right. New Jersey was named the smartest state in the United States. Recent analysis conducted by Safe Home, which is a professional review site. The study tabulated Jersey as the smartest state with a score of 337.8, which is way ahead of second place Utah, which checked in with 324 points. Now, a state score is calculated by a number of college degrees, high school graduation rates, professional or advanced degrees, and test scores. And the study said 24.2% of Jersey residents over 25 had completed a bachelor's degree, and 15.6% over 25 had a graduate or professional degree. Now, the study also indicated 91% of Jersey public high schools, the students had graduated in 4 years. And even with that, the median New Jersey SAT score for the 2018-19 school year was 1,090, and 64% of ACT takers in the state met subject benchmarks. Utah, as I said, was the second smartest state, followed by Massachusetts, and last place was Idaho, 79.5 points. So there you go. I'm really kind of suffering with my voice right now, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm going to cut the show a little bit shorter than normal, and hopefully I'll have a voice back tomorrow. Have a great Monday, and thanks for listening to The Rich Stevens Show.